Welcome to the show where we explore the who, what, where, how, and why of the extraordinary people who define our north of normal metro. I'm Conrad Fargo, and this is the Fargo Five. Today we have Brighid Maguire, owner and operator of Spaghetti Western. Benvenuta.
Benvenuto.
Welcome. So I know you because my daughter and your daughter both go to the YMCA, right? Is that how we met? I think we
I
just
believe
kept
so, yes.
passing one another.
Yeah.
And then it turns out you own Spaghetti Western. So tell us about that. Tell us everything that you do.
Well, my husband and I are owners and operators of Spaghetti Western.
Yeah.
We're just celebrating our second year. We do authentic Italian cuisine, mostly pasta. We have a real love for pasta, so we wanted to bring that to Fargo.
Yeah.
And we just saw the opportunity. There's not really any other Italian restaurants here, so.
When you say bring to Fargo, so because you guys aren't from around here, your husband is authentically Italian himself.
Yes, he was born and raised in Turin,
Yeah.
in Italy. Lived there until he was about, I want to say 21, when he moved to London, and then
Yeah.
California, where we met.
Would love to hear his story. Can't wait to have him on. So I know he might be listening or watching. You're coming on. You're next. But you from California, but you said not maybe originally. You've moved
Yes. For time's sake, we'll say I was an Army child.
We got an hour.
Yeah.
We got an hour. Well, no, what is that? I wasn't an Army child. And, I've got a friend, listener of the show who's an Army child. He was born in Japan, actually, but I don't think he lived there very long.
Right.
What does
That's
it mean?
it. Yes.
What does it mean?
So my parents were married after Vietnam. My dad was an Army Ranger, an airborne ranger.
Oh.
And he was wounded in combat. So my parents met at Walter Reed in Washington. My mom was going to school at the American University there. And for whatever reason, they decided to move to Ireland. So my little sister and I were born there.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
when I was 2, he started working with the U.S. military in Germany. So we moved there. And he
Oh.
worked as an administrator. So we didn't have to, we lived in the German economy. We didn't live on base. We didn't have to move around every few years, but we lived there until I was about 10. Then I moved to New Hampshire for high school.
Oh.
And then to California to, find my dreams.
So you were, you probably don't remember Ireland like at all.
No,
But
no.
sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Oh,
Ja.
okay. Very good, very good. I don't. All I know is how to ask people
yeah.
if they can speak languages in their languages. And then New Hampshire.
Yes.
New Hampshire has like a whole culture all of its own, right? And how long were
It's
you
a
there?
really cool place. I was there through middle school and high school.
Yeah.
My sister still lives there, so
Oh.
I still go back once in a while, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. It was a great place to grow up.
It's kind of an outlier out there on the East Coast, right? Because you've got all those, like New York and Vermont and that like whole scene out there. But then New Hampshire always
They do their
seems to
own
have-
thing.
It's got like its
Yeah.
own vibes going on. Your sister still out there? I went out there for my 30th birthday. Actually, I drove to the East Coast and went up and down.
Okay.
Did a day in New York and did that whole thing. Gosh, those mountains.
They're beautiful.
Well, I'm such a plainsman. Like I'm Fargo born and bred. Like,
Right.
and all that mountain and forest, I just kind of feel like it's suffocating me. But then out to California, that's got mountains too.
More
Or what was
very big mountains,
were
yes.
You were where in California?
I was in San Diego, then Los
Yeah.
Angeles.
Oh, okay.
I went to UCLA and lived in LA for a while.
Yeah.
After Fabrizio and I got married, we lived in Tahoe for a couple of years. So we're really up in the mountains.
Yeah. And so you're used to, just jumping culture to culture.
Yeah.
All over the place.
When people ask, where are you from? It's a hard question. But I lived in California for 25 years, so sometimes I just go with that because it's what I know most,
And then when did you come to Fargo?
We moved to Fargo 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Fabrizio's daughter, her mom got remarried to somebody that lives in the area.
I see.
So we eventually moved out here to
So you
be
can
near
be
her.
close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so now we're all in Fargo.
Do you mind sharing a little bit more how that went? Was it like, okay, I got to follow my daughter? Were you on board right away? Did you kind of fight it at first?
Yeah, no, I was on board. I was always on board.
Yeah, you're just okay with
Yeah.
jumping.
Yeah.
What was your, having moved all over the place, and New Hampshire has winter, but it only gets down to like 15, right? Not negative 40.
Depends. We were near the White Mountains, so it does get pretty brisk. Probably not as cold as here, but we're usually within like 5 to 10 degrees.
But you had never been, so before you came to live here, had you ever been to Fargo before? I mean, what was...
We were visiting quite often.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because the daughter.
Exactly, yes.
I
yes.
see. So you kind of knew a little bit what Fargo was like. You had some preconceptions.
Yeah, and little by little, I mean, we really fell in love with Fargo.
Yeah.
We started staying downtown. We really loved the downtown vibe, and we were like, this is just so cool, you know? And being an army child, quote, army child, it seemed like such an American kind of place to us, you know?
Okay, yeah. And go on about that. What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, it just, Fabrizio is always commenting like how American the little downtown is with the old buildings, and it really gives that old Midwestern vibe of a little bit of the Wild West, and
the rest of the country doesn't have that kind of. It's kind of a Midwest thing.
I mean, it depends on where you go, but.
Well, and that's one thing I like to kind of hear about on the show is what's an outsider's perspective? Because you know what I mean. I just grown up here, lived here my whole life. I don't know what it's like outside of Fargo, and I always wonder what an outsider perspective like when you first heard, we got to go visit Fargo because my daughter moved out there. Like, what did you know what Fargo was? Probably the movie, right? Or what was your context? Do you remember?
Probably the movie. Gosh, I really didn't know anything about anything in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I'd been on the East Coast, I'd been on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I've driven across the country a few times, but I'd never really been anywhere in the middle. So at first we were like, where is this place? Is it like Canada? Like, what's it like? And Fabrizio came out first without me and stayed somewhere, in some hotel off the 94 or whatever with a pool.
Like you do.
Yeah, and he was like, what is this place? But then little by little, we started finding the fun things to do and the culture charm, and the charm and, visiting, just visiting like the zoo and the Plains Art Museum and things like that. And
well, and it's not, it's not the greatest place to visit. But gosh, it's a wonderful place to live.
Yeah.
I think.
And it's great for kids.
Yeah.
There's so much community here. It's really, really nice.
Yeah. And the families are all very outgoing, very
Absolutely.
nice. And so at what point was it, and now here's where the rest of the show is, at what point was it where you're like, we're going to open a restaurant? Like, did you have prior experience running a restaurant, or where does this idea come into your head?
It's what Fabrizio and I have done our whole adult lives. I've never really done anything else. I graduated from college, and the restaurant I was waiting tables at immediately asked me to be a manager.
Back in L.A.?
Back in Pasadena.
Yeah, okay.
And so I kind of just jumped right into that, and I've never really done anything else.
Other than manage restaurants?
I did pop back and forth between serving and bartending because, of course, in Los Angeles, once you get to the stage where you're serving at one of the best restaurants in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, you can really make some good money. So so that was always the...
Well, that's kind of the case. I mean, so when you came here, was the first idea we're going to open up a restaurant? Like, that's the idea that you had when you were in California, and you're like, we're going to move to Fargo and we're going to open a restaurant. Like, what was the space in between there?
Yes, we did open our LLC from California. So it was in the works the whole time. We had no idea how we were going to do it. We had no idea how we were going to get the funds. We had no idea. I had been staying at home during the pandemic with my daughter for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, hey, why don't I go back to work? I can maybe get, some sort of corporate management job or whatever. You stay home with the kid and we'll figure out the restaurant thing. And when my husband gets something in his head, he just goes for it, So we saw the spot that we're in now. We hunted down the landlord.
In Fargo, North Dakota.
In Fargo, North Dakota. And it was always that spot. Someone else was in there. They didn't look like they were doing great.
What was? Can you share? What
there was
in the spot there?
An African place there.
Yeah.
They seemed to be doing well on DoorDash, but they didn't have many customers in house. So we had the feeling that they were sort of on their way out.
Where are you located at? I haven't been. I think my wife's been there a couple times.
She has,
I don't leave the house.
It is 524 Broadway North, which is on Broadway and 6th.
Mm-hmm.
It's right across from the Lutheran Church in St. Mary's there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. It wasn't Aladdin, kind of near Aladdin, though. Or was it Aladdin that was there? No.
Before, so people remember most Josie's.
Okay.
And that was a little sandwich and cake shop.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
And they were there for 20 years or so.
And so how did you hunted down? So you didn't use a realtor or anything like that?
No, we tracked this guy down and we were like, are these tenants good? And he was like, no, I want to get these guys out of here.
How did you track them down? Like you're looking up the parcel owner or because now you're not leased under that person?
I do think eventually we got somebody to help us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because part of what I do, because I am, and whenever I mention it, I have to say the whole thing. I am a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Premier Properties, and half of the job is that kind of tracking down. It's a whole, can be a headache, but go find out where they live, knock on their door, wait for them. It's almost like being a spy. But it's not like Fabrizio was doing that himself, because
we did have someone help us with that.
That's great.
Then the deal fell through, and then they had somebody else, but that also fell through. So then they reached back out to us and said, are you still interested?
Yeah. And so you're under a lease now.
Yeah.
What was opening like? Because and you just had your 2 years?
Yes.
Yeah. What was opening like?
Oh, it was fast and furious.
Yeah.
I mean, we just, it was just such a whirlwind. We knew we were going to be super busy because we could see online, everybody was talking about it. There was a lot of hype, And so, we just tried to throw together what we could. And finally we were like, we got to open the doors,
Well, and I think a lot of people say to themselves, I want to start a restaurant, right? And so, and you, back in California, you were managing the restaurant.
Yes.
Was your husband, did he own, you guys had never owned a restaurant before?
No, we have just been working in restaurants our whole lives.
So this is your first, so I think there's a lot of people, they say to themselves, well, gosh, I see the owner, they seem like they've got things figured out, and I would like a piece of that. I'm tired of working for the man. I want to hang out my own shingle. And so you knew you wanted to do this from well back before you were going to go get your corporate gig, but instead your husband was like, no, we're opening the doors and we're doing this. Like, was there a lot of planning? Did it take a lot of nights, or was it more sudden, more spontaneous?
From when we signed the lease, I think we signed the lease in maybe January around Christmas.
Yeah.
And we opened in July.
Wow.
But I was working that whole time as well. I was working at Jasper at the Rose Wild.
Okay.
But yeah, we just kind of, I honestly don't even know how we did it. Fabrizio used to say too, we're going to do a magic trick. We're literally going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. And I think that's what we did.
While you've got, a young daughter at home.
Yeah.
Your daughter's like 5 years old
at the time.
Four at the time. And you guys are pulling everything together. And it's not like anything's handed to you, right? So it was already a restaurant. But when
it was a restaurant. We bought a lot of the equipment used. We bought, even some really nice china we bought used. We just kind of tracked everything down.
But now you've got to set up all of these different, you've got to find vendors. Mm-hmm. You've got to find people to source. You have to build a menu. Like, what's that? Walk me through that process. Like, what's that like?
The menu part was easy, I would say.
Really?
We really enjoy pasta, like I said. And these are just recipes that he would make at home in Italy, or, that anyone would make in their house, really.
Okay.
To us, it seems elevated to have like prosciutto and burrata, but it's really a normal staple in Italian homes, you know? So we just really wanted to show those, to showcase those things that we really love.
And what did you do to source your ingredients? Because I mean, that's got to be a whole headache as well. Like, is stuff?
People started walking in right away and trying to
sell
our stuff. But we did find a really good vendor that had a lot of Italian products, things like prosciutto di Parma, Parmigiano Reggiano, Pecorino Romano. We really wanted to stay true to all of the cheeses and meats. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a Wisconsin Parmesan, but it does not taste the same.
Okay.
You could give me 30 different Parmesans and
I'll tell you where they're from. Okay.
Well, no, I can't tell you everyone, but I'll tell you which one is the Parmigiano Reggiano.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You know the Italian one. It's got its own kind of a flavor. And then pasta, you love pasta so much. Do you have other offerings as well? Do you guys make pizza, or is that kind of a whole other...
It's a whole other thing. We'd love to, but it would be a separate restaurant.
Okay. Now, and then pasta itself is a wide variety, right? You're called Spaghetti Western. Who came up with that name and why?
Oh, it's a little bit of a ridiculous name, but we thought it was so funny. We were visiting my parents in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. They live near Laramie. It's sort of a cowboy town, you know?
Okay.
And we were actually evacuated at the time from Tahoe because there was a fire.
Oh.
So we spent a good month or so out there. And we were just wandering around Laramie one day, looking at all the little shops. And I said, wouldn't it be so funny to have a pasta restaurant called Spaghetti Western? And we were just laughing so hard about it.
Because the Spaghetti Western, that's what they called like the good, bad, and the ugly.
Right, exactly. It's a genre of Western films that were directed, acted, produced in Italy.
When it was almost... Okay, so was it like a derogatory way to refer to them that way?
No,
like
it was... Italians, I think, they're really obsessed with the Wild West.
Okay.
And they love Western movies. Like, if you go to Italy, you'll see a Western movie on TV every night at like 8, you know?
Okay.
So they, I guess it was the 60s, they just wanted to produce their own Westerns.
Yeah.
And they were low-budget movies, but they became really big box office hits.
Yeah.
So after they had made a few, Clint Eastwood went over there and made The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's probably
the most
made
famous.
In
Italy?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And if you look at the, the directors and, all the backstage people, it's all Italian names. It's really funny.
So I thought it was maybe the case that like it was all starred by Italian immigrants, something like that. That's not the case. It's done in Italy itself. In Italy,
and some are done in Italian and dubbed into English.
Oh wow! Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you guys are naming it Spaghetti Western now. The only thing I know about spaghetti is you're not supposed to break it in half.
Yeah, don't do that.
But is it like what is your back end? Is it just like row after row of canisters of dried pasta? Or I know nothing about pasta.
We have several dried shapes that we import from Italy.
Okay.
Yep, they sit in big canisters. In the back.
Yeah.
And then otherwise we have about 4 or 5 handmade pastas.
Oh.
That the guys crank out manually every single day.
And it's the same. I mean, so. Pasta is the same thing, whether it's an elbow or a spaghetti or a fettuccine or whatever. It's all the same dough. It's just the shape. Like, what's the deal? What's going on
sometimes
there?
you can add egg or not, but it's the shape. And I would say there's thousands of shapes in Italy. Every little town has their own little shape.
Okay. What shape do you like the most? Like, what's that's got to be the thing.
It's a really hard question.
Yeah. Well, and when you own, like most people, I have experience with food service. I delivered pizza for Pizza Hut for 12 years.
Okay.
And I remember just, eating nothing but pizza for many, many years. And now to this day, I can't really eat Pizza Hut. Is it the case that you're constantly cooking at work and bringing food home?
I eat pasta 5 days a week.
You don't look like it.
Because when you eat good ingredients, it really makes a big difference.
Tell me about that.
We use a flour. It's a North Dakota made flour.
Oh, really?
It has no bromide. There's no bleach. There's nothing in it.
But it's North Dakota made?
Mm-hmm. There's no preservatives of any kind.
No glyphosate?
Nothing like that.
Hold on. Let's slow down.
Okay.
Are you familiar with a little platform called Twitter, or I guess they call it X now?
Uh-huh.
My wife and I, we need to do what's called touching grass. Like we get sucked in and the algorithm has our number, and like every once in a while we're like, have you heard about this Frankenfood stuff? And we don't know, how much we're getting, but you as the expert, as the professional here, help give me some perspective, because I can read something on Twitter and I read something about that bromide recently, the glyphosate and bromide and all that stuff. Do you know much about that? Because I don't know.
I'm no expert. I can't tell you how bad it is or what it really does or if it does anything, but I just feel like don't put that stuff in my food. It doesn't need to be there,
Yeah.
It's only there so that people can transport their flour over the whole country or whatever and have it sit on shelves forever. And I'd rather just have something that's
fresh,
made in North Dakota.
Yeah.
It's fresh. It's,
But
what we're made to do here is grain, right?
Do you eat a lot of bread? I mean, you must have bread.
Yeah, we make our own bread as well. Again, it's with the same sort of flour.
The same flour.
And it's just, our focaccia is just made with herbs and bread and water and a little yeast. And
so when I was back to the Twitter thread, it was filled with like ways to avoid this Frankenfood, and like a couple people were like, "You need to buy this double O Italian." It was like Italian flour.
Yeah, because a lot of the Italian flours won't have anything in it.
Yeah, but you don't import Italian flour because you were able to source in North Dakota. Yeah, no,
we would, but it's so expensive.
Yeah. But you were able to find one without the bromides and stuff. That's North Dakota. Who's that? Do you have a name?
I think it's called Dakota Made.
Just Dakota Made? I had no idea. Yeah.
You can find it for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And that's one of your vendors gives that to you. So you buy like what size bag of flour does a professional?
I think it's 50 pounds
like
every
50
couple
pounds,
days.
Not a small bag. Okay. And then so at home, and so that's what I'm really curious about. Like at home, is it the case that you guys just like do you have store-bought white bread sitting in a shelf, or is it all bread that you made at the restaurant?
I do usually buy like what is it called, like Dave's organic bread
really?
Something like that.
So
just because I don't know, I try to keep.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because like if I owned a restaurant, I don't know that I would have anything other but restaurant food.
A lot of times that's the case. A lot of times that is the case.
I'm just wondering, like, do you ever go grocery shopping?
On Sundays, we always cook the leftovers from the specials that week or whatever,
Okay. And what's the special this week?
We always run lots of kind of main course specials.
Yeah.
So we have a pork tenderloin on a blueberry risotto. It is phenomenal. It sounds like it would be sweet, but it's not. They don't put sugar in it. We have a chicken breast.
Yeah.
Prosciutto and Parmesan and veggies.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, and we always have our seafood spaghetti on special as well.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like pasta, but I like chicken. Chicken is very good.
Yeah, we have other things. If you're not a pasta lover, we'll find something for you for sure.
The carbs, I mean, but obviously you've found a way to make it work.
Yeah, I'm telling you, no one in Italy has problems, and
it's about the clean eating.
They eat pasta, I'm telling you, every single day of the week.
I think what you're almost convincing me to do is go buy some Dakota made flour and make my own bread.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what we really need to start doing. So, okay, this is your first foray into entrepreneur. I mean, did your husband own a business ever, or neither of you have ever owned a business?
No, but a lot of the places I worked for were husband and wife teams, where one of them was the chef and they were both operators. So it's like exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I worked for several places for many years.
In California?
In California,
And you were like, I'm going to bring this business model.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. During the pandemic, I was like, oh, maybe I'll change, careers. I'm like, I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
Like we're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of just came full circle for us too. I met my husband working together.
Okay. Because he was also a server?
Yes, I was managing a place, and I hired him on to be my wine buyer, because at that time I was still learning a lot about wine, and he was getting his sommelier certification at the time.
Yeah.
But we didn't work together for long, but we kept in touch. And
then somehow you just got married?
Yeah, well, so he ended up back in Europe for some medical reasons. I went to go, I did a little solo trip to Germany.
Yeah.
And he was in Rome, and he said, why don't you come to Rome and visit me in Rome?
Yeah.
And then, I followed him around Rome for 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, God, this is it.
Yeah. You just fell in love. That's beautiful. Yeah. I find I think a lot of people dream about starting their own business. And, especially they've seen it. Maybe it's a husband and wife team that they saw running it, and they said, I can do this. But that's still a big jump to do. And now it's been 2 years on. I mean, that first day, that first opening, gosh, that must have been nerve-wracking. Was it just you? Did you hire a bunch of people ahead of time? Who's running it?
It was just us and maybe a couple people in the back. We were still hiring on a couple people in the front. And, that first day, we opened the door. There was a line out the door, and we were just running from then on. Honestly, it was crazy.
But the restaurant industry, and you had been in it for so long, so you knew it. It waxes and wanes, right? It's not people lined out the door all the time, and it's almost like what's that like? The ebb and the flow? Is it? Once it's all your skin in it, because it's one thing to be the manager and somebody else is the owner. You're still collecting a paycheck.
Totally different.
But this is your skin in the game, right? What's that feeling like? Was this something you knew what was happening, or was it like the first slow day, you just got like a pit in the...
Yeah, we have stayed consistently busy, I would say, but there are those few days where there's some big game or some weird thing in town,
Yeah.
And you're like, oh God, is this it? Is this, am I now going to just always be like this? But we have stayed really busy. But I feel like we were working so hard those first days.
Yeah.
Like doing the physical labor part.
Yeah.
He's back there cooking. I'm in the front trying to take care of everything and getting the servers trained up and, getting our wines going and getting, just, like, I don't know how ready we actually were the very first week, but we made it happen.
You opened the doors.
Yeah. And then it was just, we were just running, for months. It seemed like. I think Fabrizio still is. I've been able to back up a little bit, I think, but my front of house staff is just absolutely phenomenal.
How many people do you have on staff now?
I would say like 15 or so.
And this is, wow. That's a lot of people on staff.
Yeah.
Because when you started, you said you had a couple.
There was like
people.
4.
4. Okay. Well, and you're not new to hiring people, right? Like you had done it before because you'd done all the management and stuff before. How many people did you have under staff when you were in California? Like were you used to dealing with a team?
Yes.
15 people's a lot because it's, so as far as principals, as far as people with skin in the game or people with true executive power, just you and your husband, right?
Really,
or do you guys have a partner or anybody or even like an outside consultant, fractional, anything?
Nope.
Like it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
And so you're picking up these 4 people off the street and you're saying, all right, we're going to open.
Go.
Yep, we're going to open. Like how long before you're opening the doors did you even hire these people? Like I'm just trying to imagine.
I think the week we were opening, we hired a couple people.
Okay, on that week.
That week,
and you're like, we're going to open next Monday, so I want you there.
Yeah.
Like you trained them in and like, here's showtime. Like it's, business ownership is very much like putting on a play almost. It's like it's a production. You ever done like plays or anything like that?
So I was actually a critical studies and theater major at UCLA.
Sure. I'll bet you that transfers very directly to business management actually, right?
It does.
Because the whole thing is a production and you're managing the customer experience. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing as the audience.
The door's open. It's just like the curtain's coming up. You better be ready and in place,
Yeah, yep. Everybody, okay, go. And here we go. Lights, camera, action.
And things happen. It's like you can never, ever, ever achieve perfectionism in either of those places. But, you just have to be willing to, move and shape and deal with it and move on,
Yeah. And so you've got those 4 people you say, stick around with this. Are those 4 original still with you or how long until they all cycled out? Because
I do have some people that have been with me, with us since like maybe the first September.
Yeah.
Like so the first few months.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of people.
Yeah.
Our longest employee is our youngest employee. She started when she was 16 and is now just turned 18, but she's like
beautiful.
She's my my host. She runs the show, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She's awesome, yeah.
And that's great to find people like that. But and I think a lot of people don't understand like the difficulty of running a business. Like part of it is either the difficulty, it's a spectrum, like I do real estate. And the difficulty there is more finding the business. Like if I needed help, I could find people to work under me all day long. But then on the other spectrum, you've got businesses like I had my cleaning business for a long time and restaurants for sure. You can maybe drum up business, but gosh, finding help because turnover, like what's turnover like? How many, do you even have a sense of how many people you've had work for you?
In the kitchen, it is really tough because it's a hard job.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of work in Fargo.
Yeah,
so, if it's like, if you don't love food so much, you're like, well, I could go over there, and I mean, it's a really hard job to work in a scratch kitchen where you're making everything from scratch and, so the kitchen turnover, for dishwashers is pretty tough. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is a dishwasher? I mean, can I ask? What do they make? Do you have an idea off the top of your head?
Yeah, we pay $17 an hour for a dishwasher.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
and
good
it's
money,
still hard to
I
keep.
think.
It's still hard to keep someone. Yeah. And I found a lot of that too when I did the cleaning company. And this, I haven't had new employees for a long time, but it's not always a matter of money. Sometimes it's just that position it's difficult to find somebody who's like, you know what I want to do for the next 20 years? Wash dishes.
It's a job you get that, brings you to the next thing.
It's always a temporary job.
And if you're really good at it, we'll move you to prep cook.
Yes,
yeah,
right. Yeah, you'll get moved into something else. And so, now you've got 14, 15 people. Just had your 2-year anniversary. That's amazing. It's beautiful. What's next? What's the future? You're committed to Fargo. I don't think you're gonna
yes, we are.
set up shop and move anywhere else anytime soon. Or how do you? What's the future like for you guys?
Yeah, we're looking at a few other things. We'd love to make pizza. We'd love to, do a different restaurant concept of some sort. But for now we're looking at a few different things. But
that would have to be another restaurant, or would you just bring that in? If you were to do pizza, would that be something you do on a different restaurant?
Our place is just too small, probably.
Okay, and are you ever going to move to a bigger place?
It's possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah. But right now you're really just trying to find kind of even keel.
Yes, yeah. We're really, now that we're at the 2-year mark, I just want to get to a place where we're not like
every single
waking
day.
up every night like, oh God,
Yeah, business ownership is it's exhausting. There's no question about that. So what I'd like to, and we've got maybe another 10, 15 minutes left, is I think we understand the who, what, the how, but the why. Why food? I mean, why, when you're in California, you're going for theater. So you wanted to do theater, right? Like that's what your degree was in.
Yeah, critical studies, which is really like reading and writing plays.
Yeah.
So, which I was in Los Angeles, so
yeah,
that's something that could make sense.
Everybody wants to do something in movies in LA, right? And so did you, as you were moving up into the management, like what was it that let you move into management in LA on the food stuff? Why not go a different direction? Was it just you just kept going with whatever was the best opportunity in front of you money wise? Was there something about the restaurant industry that you were really falling in love with while you were getting your theater degree? Like, how was that? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I do love the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
I love taking care of people. I love eating. I love, fresh ingredients and talking about food. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a natural thing for me.
Yeah.
I guess.
Was it a scratch kitchen that you were working at LA as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you ever worked at a non-scratch kitchen? Why don't you? What is a scratch kitchen? I don't think everybody.
Where you start with fresh ingredients and make the things that you're making instead
as opposed to.
I would say I worked at this one beer brewery in Los Angeles for like just a few months, and it was sort of a little corporate. I would say they had like 6 places.
Yeah.
But they would make all of their sauces and everything like that somewhere in the Midwest and then ship them into the restaurants in bags.
Yeah.
And so that's how a lot of the big corporate restaurants operate.
Everything's been kind of
everything's been pre-made and bagged and shipped off to the place, which is great for quality control, for cost, things like that. But it's different than a scratch kitchen where everyone, you're making homemade food.
Yeah. So everything is from just base ingredients, I mean, obviously, so some of the pasta is scratch, and pasta is just what? Flour and
water, and sometimes egg.
And so what makes it turn into bread? Just yeast? Because isn't that also what bread is? I don't know anything about
I'm
anything
not
about cooking.
Either,
I'm
yes,
not okay. And so you have that you were serving. You never really worked back of the house. That's more.
My very, very first job, I did the salad and dessert prep for an Italian restaurant in New Hampshire.
Yeah, okay.
It's still there.
Yeah. And was that also an authentic Italian place, or was it more?
It's somewhere in the middle, I would say.
Yeah.
I think you have a little more authentic Italian on the East Coast because there's just more Italian heritage out there. Yeah. But Italian American food is just as good and beautiful as authentic Italian food. It's just kind of a different cuisine.
Yeah.
Because the Italian immigrants came here to New York or wherever, and they used the ingredients that they could find.
Yeah.
They didn't have, fresh basil or, fresh tomato plants, I guess, in or maybe they had fresh tomato plants, but they didn't have like fresh oregano. So they had to kind of deal with what they could. And so a whole new cuisine was born, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think I heard this somewhere that the tomato is native to North America or something along those lines.
I've heard that before too.
I think it was only recently imported to Italy, where they have.
It was actually when they first got the tomato. I don't know when it was, like late 1800s, something like that, maybe mid 1800s.
Yeah.
They called it pomo stupido.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Stupid apple.
Stupid apple. Okay.
And then they started working the tomato and they were like, oh my gosh, we can do so much with this.
Yeah.
So then they called it pomodoro, which means golden apple.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Because when I think Italian, I do think like red sauces and stuff, and tomato and things like that.
And that's a lot of it, but I would say there's so much more to pasta.
Yeah. Tell me about it, because I really don't eat a lot of pasta, and when I just think, do I want red sauce or white sauce? Probably a little of both. I mean, what are the sauces
other than the red sauces, we have a 4 cheese sauce. We have like our broccoli and sausage would have Parmesan and olive oil.
And then where you get that sausage from? Is that?
Oh, we make the sausage ourselves.
From scratch?
Mm-hmm.
So that's also made from scratch. Like, you really aren't.
Yeah, we do import some things. We import our San Marzano tomatoes because those are the tomatoes that are that most Italians use. They're canned, and that's what most people use to make their pastas over there. But
you're making sausage from scratch, though. That's that's a lot of work, isn't it? I don't know anything about. All I know about sausage is you don't want to watch it be made. But that's the only thing I know.
I know they work really hard back there. I'm not exactly sure
they
what they do. But
they grind it up and put it, and then you boil it or grill it or however you make it, and then slicing it up just to put it in pasta.
It's
That sounds
delicious.
I mean, I'm hungry. That's the problem with having this show over the noon hour is it's lunchtime, right? Have you had lunch already?
No.
I'm starving. I'm like sitting here talking about all this Italian. So for the song that you chose, what were the options that you gave me? Because you gave me, was that the same song you were talking about?
I think that was the same song, yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Ciao.
Ciao Bella Ciao. I just thought it was funny.
What is that song? Yeah,
it's a partisan song from World War II.
What does it mean, partisan? I don't even know this.
So basically, the people who are sort of against Mussolini.
Okay. So this is like an anti-fascist song, like in the most literal sense of that term.
Yeah, and we sing it a lot, so I just thought it was a funny way to end. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and. What do you mean you sing it a lot? Like in the house or in the restaurant?
In the house, yeah.
All right. And you speak a little bit of Italian yourself?
I studied for a couple years with a tutor, so I can get by. His parents don't speak any English, so I can get by with them, and
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. They acknowledge your Italian then?
Italians are so great. You can say the tiniest little thing to them, and they're just going to think you're fantastic for trying.
Okay.
Yeah, totally opposite than the French.
Okay, and so you have a lot of experience. Mostly just with your husband's parents. Or you guys go over there quite a bit, or
we've traveled there a few times. We haven't been since our daughter was really little, but
but how long have you? I mean, besides your husband, are you familiar with Italians and the way their culture and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he had a lot of Italian friends in Los Angeles as well, so I got to know a lot of them. And
are they really sensitive about? I mean, gosh, I think I've said this to you before, but like I've got a Japanese wife, you have an Italian husband, and I wonder which one of us has to deal with the stereotyping more often, right? Like when everyone, like I tell my wife's Japanese, they want to ask me questions about anime. It's like, well, you know what I mean? It's like, anime's great, and there are some animes that I enjoy, but it'd be like if I went over there and everybody wanted to talk to me about Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's like, I enjoy Star Trek. Star Trek is good, but it's not my identity. Just because I'm from America, right? Does your Italian husband have that same problem? Because like when I think Italian, sorry to say, I think of like Godfather or The Sopranos, stuff like that.
We do tend to think about a lot of the our ancestors who came over from Sicily and Naples in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah.
But, Italy is a vast country.
Sure.
It's very different in the north, where he's from in Turin could not be more different than Naples.
Okay.
It just could not be more different.
Yeah. So is it kind of a headache for you guys, or you don't get it too?
It's cute. I mean, the what we get the most is like, oh, my grandmother was Italian. Like, that's cute. It's fine,
Okay. A couple more questions before we let you go. I want to imagine if you had, I want to put you in the imaginary box of having the powers to send 3 words back to yourself when you're young. And so with these powers, what I want you to understand is that there's no, you're not going to be like, oh my God, there's voices in my head and think you're crazy. You're going to know that you should trust these words, but it's 3 words for 18-year-old Brighid to hear and understand. What are the 3 words, and you can take some time, what are the 3 words that you would send back to 18-year-old self?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Hey, I like that. And why? Don't worry about it. Why that?
Oh my gosh, I think we just stress too much as young adults. And, in your 20s, you put so much pressure on yourself to have a career and have the family and this and that. I didn't have a kid till I was 40. I didn't have my own business until I was 44 or 43, whatever I was. So.
Wow.
It's okay. Like, enjoy your 20s, enjoy your time. Don't worry about pushing into adulthood.
Are you already in your 40s?
Yeah, I just turned 46.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did not. Okay. My wife herself is maybe a decade younger than you. I did not realize we were that far apart. And our daughters are the same age.
They are, yeah.
That's wild. Okay. So it's still not off the table for us to have more ourselves, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
No, we're done.
Huh? Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Don't worry about it. All right. And then the last question before we get out of here. What kind of shoes do you wear?
I wish I could wear running shoes to work every day, but I do have to look somewhat professional, so I put on boots.
Okay. What do you mean boots? Like
a nice
like a thigh high?
No, like a short, what do you call it? I forget. Oh, like a Chelsea boot.
Okay, like
go.
a Chelsea boot. And that's that's what you wear to
that's
work?
What I wear to work.
What are you wearing right
Otherwise,
now?
I'm wearing Nike sneakers.
Like just running shoes to go everywhere, run around.
Yeah,
you haven't graduated to the slip-ons yet.
Not
I feel
yet.
like that's really the middle-aged move.
I want to graduate to the orthopedic shoes, but I'm going to hold off on that.
Just can't seem to bring yourself to it. All right. Well, was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the restaurant, about anything like that? Otherwise, I would have you plug yourself.
Honestly, I just want to thank you and thank the community, because without the community support, we would not be here. And I know that's kind of cliche to say, but the community, Fargo, has been behind us since the very beginning, and they've really rallied for us. So thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Go check them out. And how can they, one more time, what's the address? What are your hours? Are you guys even open on July 4th? What are you doing? It's
no,
coming up.
We're actually closing from July 4th until July 10th. We close every 4th of July for some repairs, and we go on vacation.
Yeah. A lot of places are, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just kind of a slower week. Everyone hopefully is going out to the lakes to have fun.
Yeah. Not all of us are so lucky, but.
Yeah. But we are on 524 Broadway North. It's on 6th and Broadway. There's actually plenty of parking on that side if you're a person who doesn't love to go downtown.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd love to see you down there.
All right. And of course, I'm Conrad Fargo. You can find me anywhere you can type in Conrad in Fargo. Brighid, have you ever heard of, what's that website? Sometimes I go there. Amazon.com. You ever heard of that? If you type in Conrad in Fargo, do you know what happens?
I never get Amazon packages. Never.
That never happens to you. No, I think we're all addicted to
what
using.
What shows up?
I show up.
No way.
I'm there. And now you're there too. Now
awesome.
You're there too. So you can type in Conrad Fargo. You can find the show, or you can literally just find it anywhere. Just type in Conrad and Fargo. You'll find us. We are again listening to Bella Ciao, who is La Casa de Papel. I
think many have done it, but
many have done it. But this was the YouTube.
It's a great song.
Yeah, we'll listen to this. Authentically anti-fascist song, like no modern politics here. This is a throwback to World War II. So we will listen to that, and we'll see everybody. Thank you so much for coming, Brighid.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and see you next week.